and welcome back here to On Deck on CSR with me, Charles Prodigy Richey, as we are getting started right here, sticking with NBA Fast Break right now, transitioning into the NBA bubble playoff environment right now. We got one playoff spot up for grabs. It is between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Memphis Grizzlies. That game is getting ready to start in less than 10 minutes from now, which you guys could check, which is usually on, let's take a look right now, on ABC. Pretty much you can check it out right there on national ABC Sports. So here we go right now, just wrapping up. Want to hear your thoughts, you the fans right now. How you guys feel? I mean, I would assume an overwhelming majority is got to feel like about time that Jim Boylan is no longer part of the plans. I mean, I don't like to see anyone get fired. I mean, they were definitely very cordial with him and very satisfied with his respect with being dismissed. And you're just trying to figure out where you go from here and how we try and make this thing work. And I got to believe right now, I mean, Boylan, it just was not going to last much longer. It was just not a great fit from beginning to start. And to be honest, I mean, the Bulls just never been the same team ever since they lost. And they decided to part ways with Tom Thibodeau. I mean, a guy who did maximize a lot of his players. But swinging on, let's go over right now to the NBA playoffs, which are set to begin on Monday. And we got some very interesting notes here along the way, too. You got the Portland Trail Blazers as of late right now, since coming out of the bubble, who have been doing a very respectful, might I add. I mean, with Damian Lillard so far. And, I mean, this guy who has been blazing, no pun intended. But the Portland Trail Blazers, I mean, to their credit, I mean, ever since returning out of this bubble, I mean, they've really did a good job in their own right, stopping some good teams along the way and really trying to make some noise here. I mean, this is a team who has been in the playoffs for the last 6 straight years for everything that they have been doing. And for right now, what they're trying to figure out, what they're trying to pull off, I mean, this is a team right now who seems like it could really be a dangerous threat to the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round, because the Lakers right now, who've definitely been struggling, I mean, since returning to the bubble, they've been 3-5. I made the point that last week that if I'm the Lakers, I mean, you had the number one conference in the West wrapped up. And my partner in crime, Riis Tha Ruler, made a very excellent point in the fact that it's all neutral turf for everybody at the end of the day. Why I feel this is where my opinion comes in at. Why be playing all your key stars right now at this point? I'd be resting them. I don't think it's worth having an injury. I mean, you got LeBron James right now, who is 35 years old. He'll be turning 36 next season. Still up in the air if they're going to be re-signing Anthony Davis. I mean, there's been no reassurance that he's committing long-term. I would like to think he would. I mean, still things could change. But for right now, I mean, this is the moment right now where it's like, you know what? I mean, we did our job in being some of the top teams. Granted, they did not beat a team like the Houston Rockets, but I mean, the Lakers, who've been 3-5 coming out of this, I mean, they still took care against the Clippers. Obviously, they got their embarrassing loss against the Toronto Raptors in the second game, which they had a 15-point beatdown a couple weeks ago on Saturday. But, I mean, you're still able to beat teams like the Jazz and the Nuggets aside from that. I mean, that was about it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I think where things people get a little concerned is outside LeBron James, Anthony Davis, who's be the next one picking up that slack? I'm Frank Vogel. I'm just saying myself, just continue the rest of your guys. They pretty much did rest most of their starters earlier when they played this past Thursday against the Sacramento Kings, and where they lost that game 122-136 by 14 points. I mean, since then, I mean, right now, I mean, when we look at everything, I mean, they barely rebounded their opponents by 4. I just feel the only thing where I get a little concerned with the Lakers is their defense. I mean, every game that they've been playing, they've been giving up in the 100s. And I'm not sure if that's something that will make me feel all that great. At the same time, you got to learn to settle the buckle down. This is going to be one of your best cracks right now of getting something done with that. I mean, the Lakers, like I said, you only got at least 3 wins within the top 6 seeds of the Western Conference, beating the Clippers, beating the Jazz, and the Nuggets. So let's take a look, speaking of which, as I mentioned, the Portland Trailblazers, who've been doing pretty much, you had Damian Lillard, who had a stellar performance earlier in the week, too. We'll get to that game in just a moment. But at the same time, too, they've been 6-2 coming out of this bubble. And for right now, what they've been able to do, I mean, like during this time, I mean, this is a team who's definitely playing like a little bit like you don't want to see us in the playoffs. I mean, pretty much more so. Don't forget, you also still got Carmelo Anthony right now, who's still sticking around. Don't think, I mean, that guy has been gone under the radar despite his struggles and criticisms in recent past by most of the media. I mean, you had Damian Lillard, who had a 61-point game earlier this past week. I mean, against the Dallas Mavericks. That was on Tuesday. But, I mean, still, you look at everyone on here. You look at C.J. McCollum right there. Not too bad, but, I mean, yeah, Carmelo Anthony, 26 points. 26 points to compliment Damian with 26 points. Then you also had Zach Collins in here, too, with 11 points. And we'll see how this goes for right now. But I just really got to believe right now, when we take a look at the Trailblazers, I mean, for a team who, coming out of this bubble environment, they've only lost 2 games. They only lost to the Celtics and the Clippers. So what do you guys think right now? OddsShark right now has the odds at them finishing the job by 6 points tonight. They're 6-point favorites. And the Memphis Grizzlies, which, by the way, too, who are still hanging around right now when we look at it and see where they're at. Memphis Grizzlies going into this situation where they need to win 2 straight games to eliminate the Blazers out of the sea. This is like this play-in series. And since they're about, right now, at this point, a half a game over the Grizzlies, they need to win 1 more game to cinch it, basically. That's where we stand right now with it. I mean, the sad thing is, too, I mean, as you know, I mean, NBA, I mean, this is not one of the sports you have ties, but look at the Memphis Grizzlies right now. They've only won 2 games coming out of the bubble, only being the Thunder and the Bucks. And they have looked pretty sloppy, I mean, in this return as well. They have lost to teams like the Spurs, the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Raptors, and the Celtics. I'm not sure, how that feeling's got to be for them. But I do got to believe, too, right now, I mean, with game time, and, of course, you got Carmelo. Will Carmelo Anthony find a way to show up in big games in the playoffs? Carmelo Anthony, who's just been more proud of the fact if he didn't win a ring, he's got gold medals. He's like the Kurt Angle of, basketball players, in my opinion. But when you see what he's been doing every time, I mean, basically, overall, I mean, the guy who has not tasted the playoffs since 2 years ago, one being with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He only averaged about 12 points. I mean, the rest of his career, he's 24 and a half points per game in the playoffs. I mean, this is a guy who had to play with a chip on his shoulder, just like LeBron James in his 17th year. He went for a time where people did not want to play with this guy. And that seemed to bar his psyche for a while, which I could imagine. He was not necessarily a trustworthy guy who wanted to involve his teammates. He seemed like he wanted to be the guy who took the shot in his hands. He did not want to be a bench player. He still felt like he was one of the premier top players in this league who definitely contribute immensely. Carmelo, I mean, who's took a long journey. And you start to see why he's played it strategically, where he didn't want to team up with LeBron James. I'm sure they're best of friends, but at the end of the day, too, despite the travels that Carmelo has went through in his NBA career, I mean, from the Knicks to the Thunder to the Rockets and then the Trailblazers, I mean, this guy, still believes in competing and doing it with his own crew. Obviously, he has joined forces and trying to make something happen here. Again, we're on NBA fast break right now. We're talking NBA basketball right now. The game should be getting underway just any moment right now between the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies. I expect the Trailblazers to definitely close out and cinch it a first-round ticket with the LA Lakers, which we should definitely find out what's going to be happening here as we look at everything going on in this realm today. Speaking of which, too, who do you feel was been the most hottest team in the bubble right now? Who do you guys feel it was? I mean, when we look across the board and we look at everything, I know the Milwaukee Bucks, they had a few hiccups along the way. I mean, with playing with everything. I think, if anything, one team to definitely pay attention to right now and seems to be getting hot at the momentum and still reminding folks why they are the champions, the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors, who have been doing spectacular in their own right. Since coming back from this, they've only lost one game. That was to the Celtics. They got blown out in that one by 22 points. But during that period, they still took down the Lakers, who I just mentioned earlier, by 15 points. A solid team in the Miami Heat, which they beat by 4. And then you got the Orlando Magic they took care of by 20 points, who's actually locked up for the 8th seed. And then they beat the Grizzlies, the Bucks, Sixers, and Nuggets. This Raptors team is for real. I mean, going to this playoffs team. And when you look at the players, who they have at their disposal right now, I mean, when you look at, you still got Pascal, Siakam, and everybody, and what they've been able to do, for this time here. Pascal Siakam, who's actually their leading scorer with 22.9 points per game. They got Kyle Lowry with 19.4. Fred VanVleet, 17.6. And Norman Powell with about 16 points a game. And Serge Ibaka with 15.4. And you still got Marc Gasol, who's doing pretty steady with 7.5 points. Pick it up a little bit. But I really start to wonder right now, with Nick Nurse right now, how he's going to still find a way to keep that momentum going right now and pick up where they left off last year and trying to defend their title. This is a team who's choosing not to be slept on, or to be dismissed through any circumstances. And I think what will happen is later on, when we look at it, I think they're going to go as far as to like the conference finals. And basically in the East, if you got it looked up right now, you're going to be having the Bucks open up against the Magic. I expect them to take care of business right there. Raptors against the Nets, give me the Raptors. Celtics against the Sixers. That could be a series that could go either way. I'll probably give it to the Celtics still. They got the Pacers versus the Heat. I'm going to go upset on that one. Give me the Heat over the Pacers. So basically, you'll be having a second round. I mean, in that case, you'll be having the Bucks go up against the Heat. Raptors against when we look at I mean, when you look at so if you have everything going on, I mean, we'll find out where everything's at. But if we take a look at it, we're going to go ahead and hit this break first. We're going to come back, and we're going to try and finish up here. And we are back here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com on deck with, of course, me, Charles Brad's Richey. And just join me right now. Do a little technication flaw I experienced on my end, so I apologize to you about that, Riis. Right now, we are resuming with some MLB Upper Deck right now. Just wrapped up, in case any of you who tuned in today, talking about our tourists who actually fired Jim Boylan yesterday, which made the headlines, and then talked a little bit of NBA playoffs. Right now, some preview between the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies. I would expect Trailblazers to wrap that up and be the first round point for the Lakers going in. And Riis, you got any thoughts, comments on that? A game I know just got on their way for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to check that out. Sorry, guys. It's actually a big outage in my area on the internet side. But I do right now, Damian Lillard is determined. He's coming out there. He's a man on a mission. He already said it, one game at a time. He said, they told me, if you give me a chance, I get it. And he took advantage. I honestly, to be honest, I did want to see the Suns in the playoffs after coming. The Suns, we looked at them as just a team. You only really highlight Devin Booker. They don't win many games. But in the bubble, that they went perfect 8-0. So I was kind of just to see, I guess a Cinderella team, as I can say it. But I do see the Damian Lillard and them taking care of them. Maybe if it was a 2 games, I would probably the 2 games the Grizzlies would win. But I see them taking care of business tonight.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, too, I mean, I'm pretty much going to go with the Blazers myself. I mean, including a big hot week for Damian Lillard, too. The highlight of the week, scoring the 61 points earlier against, I mean, when you look at in the week what they did. But still, I think for right now, the Grizzlies have not really shown me anything, to be honest. You only won 2 games since coming out of this. And I think if one team is still be aware that's still lurking right now, don't rule out if they go make another deep run, but maybe to the conference finals minimum. I'd say the Toronto Raptors. Raptors are still a team to compete with right now. I mean, basically, they only lost 1 game, and that was to the Celtics where they got blown out by 22 points. So I tell you, keep an eye on those Raptors right there. I think that's a team that is still proving they're the defending champions right here. They can still make something happen, but I expect them to fall short to the conference finals right now.
Yeah, I expect them to lose. I have to look at the seeding, but they are a team on a mission. To me, the other team that's like that is the OKC Thunder. You would think after trading everything away, getting Chris Paul didn't want to play there really. They thought, maybe he'd get his contract bought out. And they said, no, we're not going to, get his contract bought out. And I bet you probably, unless you live in Oklahoma City, you probably don't even know who their starting 5 is. But this team, I think they're 4th in the West. They really surprised me, just like the Toronto Raptors. I didn't see them this high in the East, I definitely saw them as a playoff team, maybe in the 6th, 7th spot. But they're right now, like you said, they're on a mission. They be a Laker team, even though all their players wasn't going to play because they've already clinched, basically. So I do see Toronto making some noise. They can go up against any team in the East and give them trouble. So I guess I don't want them to say, we don't have the claw anymore, no more Kawhi Leonard. No, people stepped up. Larry, averaging 6 more points than he was averaging. What's his name? Siakam. Siakam is
Yeah. And basically right now, just
averaging more, and he's shooting the 3-ball well from all over the area. So I definitely watch out. You there?
yeah, I'm there. You were just cutting in and out. I think there was just little signal issues you were going through.
Oh yeah. So like I said, the Raptors are definitely a team that you have to watch out for. Don't lay down for them. Don't come in thinking that it's an easy walk. Like I said, they were one of the first teams to take their whole floor and make it into We the North. Everything on their floor is the Raptors, so they're here to play.
What time is it? Game time! Boom!